Last year, I made a video called "The MCU is Starting to Wear Me Out." At that point in time, Phase 4 of the MCU was in full swing, and I was just getting sick of Marvel dominating every single conversation about cinema on social media and in real life. In the year that has passed since then, I feel like that discourse has just amplified even more. Movies and shows continue to be shipped off the conveyor belt to theaters and Disney+, so much so that the general movie-going public only ever seems to hear about the next Marvel joint or some other huge blockbuster. Studios like Disney have found a way to keep their tentpole content and the average person's stream of consciousness at a practically non-stop rate. And then the other problem is that there are now so many different streaming services begging for one's attention that there's almost too much competition going on.
We don't need this many!
There's a never-ending flow of new media being poured into both theaters and these services that it's difficult for someone to keep track of what's actually coming out, let alone the projects one should really pay attention to. That's why when you hear the average Joe working at your office say something like, there are no good movies coming out, well, these reasons and more are probably why. They only ever hear about the big stuff that gets released, and then fall under the impression that there's no other interesting experiences to be had. Those other cool movies get buried under the weight of search engine optimization and the overexposure of what's most popular at the time. I know that there are more factors that go into marketing film, but I hope you can see what I'm getting at here. However, instead of making a pessimistic part 2 to that video I referenced earlier, I actually wanted to sound a bit more hopeful this time around, because I am hopeful. Do you want to know why? It's all because of one movie. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I've now seen this movie twice, and I can confidently say that it's my favorite film of the year, at least so far. There is just so much to love about it. But as much as I would enjoy making a video like that, or just a straight up review of the movie, there's something specific about it that I felt would be a better topic of discussion, and that is how it has shaken up things in the world of box office and word of mouth. So we have just finished the 2022 summer movie season. During that period of a few months or so, there were plenty of films released between the beginning of May and the end of August that were either met with minimal or perhaps just moderate success. And then there were others that just straight up failed, like Lightyear. I really enjoyed some of these more moderately successful movies such as Nope, Bodies, 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 and Bullet Train to name a few examples, but none of them felt like a pop culture sensation. They may have made some excellent strides in terms of filmmaking, in addition to being original properties making an impression on people, but still, the discourse surrounding these movies was never that significant in the public space. Even something like Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, which received positive reviews and grossed nearly $282 million against an $85 million budget, felt like it just came and went. In fact, that's how most movie releases feel like to me now. A large majority of them just come and go, with their time in the spotlight perhaps lasting a couple weeks, and then they become a dim flicker in the eyes of the movie-going public. I've mentioned already that the sheer saturation of content on the market is a huge reason for this, with there being almost too much competition for the consumers to benefit from.
That squeaking is gonna drive us all crazy! Nonsense, Squidward! That squeaking is money to my ears! I mean, music.
But another thing is that a lot of these movies just don't leave a lasting impression. People may like or dislike them, and talk about them for a short period of time, sure. But like, how often do we get movies that are truly special, you know? Well, I'd like to argue that Everything Everywhere All at Once is one such movie. Sometimes there are movies that just immediately hit me the first time and I know, yeah, this one's gonna stick with me. It happens very infrequently, but when it does, the movie is just that special. This was basically my reaction after the first viewing in a theater back in April. If you follow any type of movie discussions online, chances are that you've probably heard at least one person talking about this film. Moreover, you're probably familiar with the gargantuan hype that was surrounding it. I wouldn't blame you if you're taking all of that praise with a grain of salt, because people being hyperbolic on the internet is nothing new. That being said, I cannot stress enough how Everything Everywhere All at Once packs together pretty much everything that I could ever want from a movie. It may be a mess, but it's a beautiful one, packing together an experience that's equal parts wacky entertainment and emotional introspection. I am most satisfied when a movie can find that happy medium where it can be a popcorn flick and profound profound work of art simultaneously. Moreover, if that experience can be something completely new and original, that just makes it even more exciting to recommend. If a film can be great while also prove to be a refreshing experience, then it is well worth shouting that film's praises from the rooftops. There is so much out there that is repetitive, regurgitated, and uninspired that it becomes hard to convince people to go out to theaters. After all, it's impossible to ignore the fact that going to the movies is expensive. It's one thing to go on your own and likely get a student discount depending on your age, but for people like me, you are likely going out to a movie on a date or even with your spouse or children. Expenses add up quickly if you take into consideration the fees for buying tickets online, the amount of tickets you're buying to begin with, along with any food or drinks you purchase at the concession stand. If you were to dump all of the cash into something like Morbius or Jurassic World Dominion, then you're just throwing money into the toilet. The familiarity of a popular franchise or a household name filmmaker or actor can be the safe route to go when risking your money on something you may or may not enjoy. That's why I'm not going to immediately dismiss someone who doesn't spend their money on more obscure movies, since the risk is greater when you're trying something new. However, it's ever more important for those who do try idiosyncratic movies to tell their friends and loved ones about their experiences. People are statistically more inclined to act on the advice of someone they know. With how much Everything Everywhere All at Once connected with audiences when it first debuted in March, momentum quickly picked up as word spread on social media. The film never made huge weekend numbers like your average Hollywood production does, but it successfully played the long game. It lasted in first-run theaters nationwide pretty much right up until its release on Blu-ray in early July. The total ending gross was $100.8 million against a budget of $25 million, ultimately earning A24 4 times back that budget. And if you ask me, I would guess that a good portion of that money came from people who were floored by their first experience and then caused the movie to have a healthy life at the box office by repeatedly going back to see it again. I know that I would have done this if I wasn't using up my time on seeing other new releases among other things. If you were to look at a similar success story but on a much grander scale, look no further than Top Gun Maverick, which also came out this year. I don't know about you guys, but I did not have high expectations for this movie before its release. Legacy sequels are usually dead on arrival, and this one in particular was following up a movie that wasn't even good to begin with.
There, I said it.
But you know what? The people who made it wholeheartedly believed that what they made was special. Tom Cruise himself being its biggest advocate. The dude may be a wacko, but nobody can ever deny that he truly loves cinema. So much so that he was able to stop Paramount from squandering the film's potential with a streaming release. They waited a whole 2 years, and that risk paid off. The marketing and early buzz from critics convinced people that this was well worth going to theaters for, scoring over $160 million in North America alone during Memorial Day weekend. It only took 3 weeks for the movie to become the highest grossing film of Tom Cruise's career. And wouldn't you know it, just like with Everything Everywhere All at Once, this movie defied the statistical odds of the average blockbuster. Even massive films like those of the MCU make most of their money in the first couple of weekends, and then they drop off significantly after those huge initial numbers. But not so with Top Gun. It's been nearly 4 months since that film first came out, and the first-run theater that is like a 2-minute drive from my house is still going to be hosting showings into the next week. That's insane! The point I want to make is that a movie doesn't have to be engineered to bring in the waves of crowds in the first 2 weekends of its release to be considered a massive hit. If studios really want to get people talking about their movies regardless of budget, they just need to make something worthy of that kind of long-term discussion. There's a reason why James Cameron struck gold twice in a row with Titanic in 1997 and later Avatar in 2009. They may not be perfect films, but they most certainly are grand, eye-popping spectacle with enough substance to sustain a long conversation between movie lovers. So too were both of these movies the beneficiaries of incredibly lengthy periods of time dominating the box office, with people repeatedly returning to cinemas with friends and family they wanted to share these breathtakingly exciting experiences with. If that can happen with big films, it can also happen with movies made on a smaller scale which still make good use of every single penny. Parasite, La La Land, Get Out, and now Everything Everywhere All at Once. All 4 films being examples of how a truly artistic triumph on a modest budget can still make hefty amounts of cash. I know that this video will not be seen by any of those scummy, vapid executives over in Burbank, California. But to all of you, I say, go out and support movies that are different. It's okay to remove yourself from your comfort zone and experience something unique for a change, especially if you pay to see movies that were made by people that are very passionate about their craft. A24, for example, often gets labeled as the studio for hipsters who only watch off-kilter independent movies, but at least they truly seem to care about the projects they fund and distribute. A lot of their successes, Everything Everywhere All at Once being their biggest one, can be traced back to them believing that their movies are special. And to quote a wise, soup-making duck,
"To make something special, you just have to believe it's special."
and that's just it. A lot of new films, shows, games, or media in general simply aren't special anymore. You may find the occasional work of art that you enjoy every once in a while, but not one that truly hits you in the gut with an emotional punch, shifts your worldview with a profound story, or serves as a treat for the eyes with its innovative visuals. When those rare masterpieces do come around though, tell everyone you know and love why they should give those the time of day as well. After all, if you do so, you could help forge the next underdog success story just like with Everything Everywhere All at Once. If anything, this amazing film gives me hope that other filmmakers with real talent and ideas will be given the chance to show what they're capable of as well. And that's it! I appreciate you listening to what I had to say about this topic. I apologize for how long it took for me to get this video out. I recently started both Persona 5 and God of War, and if any of you have played those games, you'd probably know how addicting and detrimental to a work ethic both of them can be. But in any case, I have some ideas for fun new videos that I'm already in the process of writing and producing very soon. If you liked what you saw and would be eager to see more of what I have to offer, including those upcoming projects, please consider subscribing to the channel and joining the notification squadron so that you won't miss out on my future videos. By the way, thank you so much for helping me get to over 1,000 subscribers. I know that's like nothing in terms of YouTube numbers, but it means a lot to me. The fact that people watch my videos and are willing to stick around for more is really humbling to me. I can only hope that I can continue to get better at what I do for your sake. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all have a great one.